Nobody expected this. Nobody. We thought we knew the story. We thought we understood the players. On one side, the fallen Duke, the outcast, the man erased from public life, hiding in the shadows of the royal lodge, a man with everything to lose and nothing left to give. On the other side, the Duchess, the Hollywood star, the woman who promised to modernize a monarchy only to tear it down from the inside. We are told they are strangers. We are told their paths only crossed when she walked into the life of Prince Harry. We are told their relationship is defined only by awkward formalities and distant family gatherings. But what if we were told a lie? What if the timeline we've been fed is a fabrication? There is a story that has been buried deep. A story that terrified the palace courtiers more than the interviews, more than the books, more than the Netflix documentaries. It is the story of a connection that predates the romance, a connection forged not in the halls of Windsor, but in the dark, glittering underbelly of the international elite. Sources say this is the one secret that keeps the palace awake at night. It's the nuclear option, one insider whispers, the thread that, if pulled, unravels the entire tapestry. They want you to believe Prince Andrew and Meghan Markle are worlds apart, but word from the wealthiest circles in Europe suggests otherwise. They claim the introduction didn't happen in London in 2016. They claim it happened years earlier, in places where cameras aren't allowed, in circles where silence is the currency. Imagine a world where the outcast uncle holds the key to the Duchess's past. Imagine a scenario where the man Harry despises is the very man who opened the gates for his wife. The conflict is not just about family, it is about leverage. Andrew is cornered, he is silent, but silence has a price, and sources say he is tired of paying it alone. He watched her rise, he watched her reinvention. He saw the Duchess act and he reportedly laughed because he knew the girl before the tiara. This is the story of the hidden link, the secret history, the dangerous truth that lies between the Prince of York and the Duchess of Sussex. And it is a story that is about to explode. To understand the end, you must go back to the beginning. But not the beginning you saw in the magazines, not the Suits actress struggling to make it, not the humanitarian trips to Africa. We are talking about the circuit. Long before the world knew her name, Meghan Markle was moving, climbing, networking. She wasn't just an actress, she was a presence. Insiders describe a different woman, a woman laser-focused on a specific tier of society, a woman who knew exactly where to be, and more importantly, who to be seen with. The years are murky. 2013, 2014, 2015. The locations are exclusive. The deck of a super yacht in St. Bart's, the private room of a club in Istanbul, the opening of a luxury hotel in London. This is the world of the ultra-rich, a world of billionaires, oligarchs and royals. A world where access is tightly controlled. And yet, she was there. How? She didn't just walk in, a source from that era claims. Someone held the door. Whispers suggest she was navigating a complex web of social gatekeepers. She was building a network. She was hunting for a specific kind of status. And in this world, there was one royal who was always present, always travelling, always Air Miles Andy, Prince Andrew. He was the life of the party, the man who loved the high life, the man who surrounded himself with the beautiful, the ambitious, and the young. Sources indicate their paths crossed in this shadowy overlap of celebrity and royalty. It wasn't at a state dinner, it was in the grey zone. One persistent rumour involves a yacht party in the Mediterranean, a gathering of the elite, no phones allowed, NDAs signed at the gangway. Witnesses from that time, people who were there, people who saw, claim they saw a familiar face. A young American actress, charming, intelligent, engaging the Duke of York in conversation, not as a fan, but as an equal. She knew how to work the room, says a former associate. She knew exactly who he was, and she knew he was lonely. He was the gateway. He was the connector. At the time, Andrew was powerful. He was the Queen's favourite son. He had the ear of business leaders. He moved through these circles like a king. For an ambitious woman looking to break into the British upper crust, it's des wasn't just a prince. He was a target. He was a stepping stone. Some claim he was charmed by her. Others suggest it was more transactional, a networking opportunity, a fleeting connection in a world of fleeting connections. But here is the catch. When the official story was written, this chapter was erased. When she met Harry, the narrative was clear. I didn't know much about the royal family. I didn't know who he was, but insiders say Andrew knew the truth. He remembered the face. He remembered the name. He remembered the meetings in the shadows. He watched her play the innocent. He watched her pretend to be naive about the monarchy, and he stayed silent. Why? Because in that world, you never speak of the party after the sun comes up, but secrets fester and memories do not fade. He knew her when she was just a girl looking for a break. He knew the hustle. He knew the game. And now, as she sits on her throne of moral superiority, he sits in the ruin of his reputation. And he remembers this is where the story shifts. This is where the silence becomes a weapon. Andrew had played his part. Whether he was a mentor, a contact, or just a friendly face in a crowd of sharks, he had been there. He had been part of the before. But then came the after. Meghan meets Harry, the whirlwind romance, the engagement, the world falls in love. And suddenly, the past must be scrubbed clean. The narrative required innocence. It required a fresh start. It required that she be a complete outsider, bewildered by the traditions of the firm. Andrew became an inconvenience. Sources say the turning point wasn't a specific argument. It was a specific act of erasure. The famous story of the curtsy. Meghan tells the world she didn't know how to curtsy. She mocks the tradition. She claims she thought Andrew was the Queen's assistant. Harry writes it in his book. To Andrew, it was a slap in the face. He was incensed, a palace insider claims. He knew she knew him. He knew they had met. The act of pretending he was a servant, it cut deep. It wasn't just a joke. It was a disavowal. It was a signal. You do not exist in my story. Our past does not exist. She was rewriting history in real time, and he was the casualty. He had welcomed her, allegedly. He had been friendly, reportedly, and she turned him into a punchline. That was the moment, whispers a friend of the York family. That was when the observer became the enemy. He watched her distance herself. He watched her align with the progressive future, leaving the problematic past behind. He became the symbol of everything she wanted to destroy. The old guard, the scandal, the toxicity. She used his fall to elevate her rise. As the Epstein scandal closed in on Andrew, Meghan and Harry made their move. They condemned the culture of the institution, but they never mentioned the connection. Andrew sat in the Royal Lodge, watching the TV, watching the Oprah interview, watching the tears, and he felt the sting of betrayal. He had kept her secrets. Why wasn't she keeping his? Or perhaps she was keeping his secret, but only to hold it over him. It's a standoff, claims a source close to the situation. He knows what she was doing in 2015. She knows what he was doing in 2015. Mutually assured destruction. But the snub, the public humiliation of pretending not to know him, that changed the dynamic. It wasn't strategic anymore. It was personal. He saw a woman who had used the very ladder he helped build, only to kick it away once she reached the top. And a York never forgets. The silence in the Royal Lodge grew heavier. The isolation grew colder. But in the dark, anger burns hot. She thought he was finished. She thought he was powerless. She thought he was just a distraction to be managed. She forgot one thing. A man with nothing to lose is the most dangerous man in the room. The walls of Buckingham Palace are thick, but they have ears. The courtiers knew. The grey suits knew. They saw the tension. They felt the tremor in the ground. When the rumours of a prior connection began to circulate internally, a quiet divide formed within the institution. On one side, the cleaners. These were the people tasked with protecting the brand, protecting the transition, protecting the king. To them, Andrew is a liability, a cancer to be cut out. They want him gone, buried, silenced forever. They fear that if he speaks, he drags everyone down. They fear that if he reveals his connection to Meghan, it validates the yacht girl rumours. It validates the conspiracy theories. It stains the new king's reign with the mud of the past. They want a deal. They want Andrew to fade away. On the other side, the strategists. These are the ruthless operators who see an opportunity. They are tired of the Sussex attacks. They are tired of the books, the podcasts, the complaints. They want ammunition, and they see Andrew not as a liability, but as a grenade. I fire them. There are those who want him to talk, whispers a source deep within the household. They want him to drop the bomb. They know it would destroy Meghan's credibility forever. If Andrew proves they met before, if Andrew produces a photo, if Andrew reveals a diary entry, the narrative of the Little Mermaid finding her prince collapses. Caught in the middle was the Queen, and now the King. King Charles is walking a tightrope. He cannot support Andrew publicly. The scandal is too great. The shame is too deep. But he cannot destroy him completely because he knows what Andrew holds in his vault. Charles is terrified, claims an insider. He knows that Andrew is a loose cannon, and he knows that Andrew feels abandoned. If Charles pushes too hard, if he evicts him from the lodge, if he cuts the money, Andrew pulls the pin. And Meghan, she is watching from Montecito. She knows the game. She knows the stakes. Sources say she has been sending signals, quiet messages. Leave us alone and we leave you alone. But does she have control over Andrew? No. This is the power dynamic that no one talks about. Harry thinks he is fighting his father. He thinks he is fighting the press. But the real threat is the uncle he mocked. Andrew stands firm, unmoved. He refuses to leave his home. He refuses to go quietly into the night. Why? Because he has leverage. He knows that the palace cannot afford a war on two fronts. They cannot fight the Sussexes and the Yorks at the same time. And if the Yorks and the Sussexes were to turn on each other, the fallout would be nuclear. The palace is paralysed. They are waiting, watching, praying that the silence holds. But the silence is thinning. The whispers are getting louder. At first, it was just they met. Now the claims are becoming specific, darker, more detailed. Word from insiders suggests that this goes beyond a simple introduction. Whisper number one, the introduction via the madam, we all know the name, Ghislaine, the woman who sat at the centre of the spiderweb, the woman who knew everyone. Whispers suggest that Meghan's path crossed with Ghislaine's circle long before Harry, not as a victim, but as a prey in the social scene. She was looking for a British husband, a source claims, where he say Ghislaine was the matchmaker of the elite. It's impossible they didn't occupy the same room. The claim is that Andrew was the test run, the vetting process. If you can impress the Duke, you can handle the Prince. Whisper number two, the lost weekend. There are rumours of a weekend in 2016, a shooting party, a private estate in the country. Harry wasn't there, but Andrew was. And allegedly, so was she. Sources claim this was a audition of sorts, a way to see if she could fit into the aristocracy. She wasn't there as a girlfriend, the source says. She was there as a guest of the house. Andrew looked after her. If true, it shatters the timeline of her relationship with Harry. It suggests she was embedded in the royal ecosystem months before the blind date. Whisper number three, the Soho House tapes. We know she was close to Marcus Anderson, the king of Soho House. We know Andrew frequented these private clubs. Insiders claim there are recordings, security logs, guest lists. They were in the same private members club in Toronto, a source alleges, on the same night, at the same table. What was discussed? Was it a strategy session? Was it a warning? Or was it a negotiation? Whisper number 4, the punch-up. This is the darkest whisper of them all. Reports surfaced of a physical altercation between Harry and Andrew, a bloody nose, a family gathering gone wrong. The official denial was swift. Never happened. But sources say the fight was real, and it wasn't about Jeffrey Epstein, it was about her. The claim is that Andrew laughed at Harry. He told him, "You don't know who you've married, I do." He allegedly taunted Harry with details only someone who knew her before could know. Harry snapped, he lashed out, he couldn't handle the truth. That was the moment the family fractured, the insider says. Harry had to choose, believe his wife or believe his lying, disgraced uncle. He chose his wife. But the doubt was planted. And now, as the marriage faces its own storms, does Harry wonder? Does he look at Andrew and wonder what he meant? The whispers are escalating. They are moving from the tabloids to the history books. And every new claim tightens the noose. To understand how this happened, you have to look behind the curtain. You have to look at the architects. Meghan didn't navigate this world alone. Andrew didn't find her by accident. There were people moving the pieces. The connector, Marcus Anderson. He is the shadow, the man in the background of every photo. The global membership director of Soho House. He is Meghan's best friend, her protector. But he is also a man who knows how to curry favour. So we favour with power. Sources say Marcus was the bridge. He knew Andrew. He knew the York girls, Beatrice and Eugenie. He knew the social climbing game better than anyone. Marcus created the environment, says a former Soho House employee. He created the safe spaces where royals and celebrities could mix without prying eyes. Did Marcus facilitate the introduction? Did he walk Meghan to Andrew's table and say, "Your Royal Highness, meet the future"? He is the keeper of the keys. He knows where the bodies are buried because he helped dig the graves. The socialite, the York girls, Eugenie, Harry's favourite cousin, but also Andrew's daughter. We know Eugenie knew Meghan early on. They were friends. They probably partied together But did Eugenie know the extent of the connection to her father? Eugenie is the link, whispers a royal watcher. She introduced them. She thought it was innocent. She thought she was helping a friend. Now she is caught in the middle. She loves her father. She loves Harry. But she knows the truth. She was there. She saw the interactions. She saw the familiarity. The Madame Ghislaine. We cannot escape her name. She was the ultimate gatekeeper. She decided who got access to the prince. If Meghan was on the circuit, she had to go through Ghislaine. Ghislaine vetted everyone, claims a source familiar with the Maxwell operation. No pretty girl got near Andrew without her say-so. Did Ghislaine approve of Meghan? Did she see a kindred spirit, a fellow climber? Some say Ghislaine was jealous, others say she was impressed, but the claim remains. The path to Andrew was paved by these architects. They opened the doors, they crafted the access, they shaped the environment where a B-list actress could charm a prince of the blood. And now they are all silent. Marcus is protecting Meghan. Eugenie is protecting the peace. Ghislaine is in prison. But secrets shared among 3 people are never safe, especially when one of them has nothing left to lose. Prince Andrew is stripped of his titles. He is stripped of his military honours. He is a pariah, but he is not powerless. He holds a weapon more powerful than a lawsuit, more damaging than a headline. He holds the vault of memories. This is what makes him dangerous. Andrew is a hoarder. He keeps things. We know he has a collection of teddy bears, but sources say he collects other things too. Diaries, logs, emails, photographs. He documented everything, says a former aide. He was meticulous about his social life. He wanted a record of his popularity. He has the guest lists from the parties. He has the flight logs, the real ones. He has the correspondence. What if he has a photo, a simple photo, Meghan and Andrew, looking cosy, looking familiar, date stamp 2014. It seems small, but it destroys the narrative. It proves the lie. It proves that the blind date was a sham. It proves that the naive American act was a performance. It opens the door to the question, what were they doing? He has the receipts, whispers an insider. He can trace every step of her journey into the family. He watched it all unfold. He knows who introduced them. He knows what favours were asked. He knows what promises were made. This is the leverage he holds over King Charles. Let me stay in Royal Lodge. Keep my security. Pay my bills. Or I release the photo. Or I write the memoir. Or I give the interview. Imagine Andrew on camera. No sweat this time. Just cold, hard facts. Yes, I knew her. She was a charming girl. We met in Istanbul. She was very ambitious. The implication alone would be devastating. He is the keeper of the skeleton key. He can unlock the closet where the Sussex secrets are hidden. And Meghan knows it. Why do you think she's never directly attacked Andrew? She attacks Charles. She attacks William. She attacks Kate. But she leaves Andrew alone. Even when the Epstein scandal broke, she was quiet. Why? Because you don't poke the bear when the bear has your diary. She is afraid of the vault. She is afraid of the weapon. She knows that he survived the media storm. He is still standing and he is waiting for the perfect moment to strike. We are approaching the endgame. The tension is at a breaking point. The walls are closing in on everyone. The king is old. The prince is angry. The duchess is desperate. And the outcast is watching. The fairy tale is cracking. The veneer of perfection is peeling away. We are told that truth always comes to light. And in the House of Windsor, the truth is a fire that burns everything down. Andrew is ready to speak. The whispers say he is done protecting the family that abandoned him. He is done protecting the nephew who attacked him. He is done protecting the woman who used him. He decides who rises and who falls. The source warns. If he pulls the trigger, the explosion will be heard around the world. The love story of the century will be revealed as the con of the century. The victimhood narrative will collapse. The monarchy itself will shake to its foundations. They thought they could bury him. They thought they could erase him. But they forgot one thing. The man in the shadows sees everything. And when the man in the shadows steps into the light, the game is over. She watched. She knew. She saw. She survived. But can she survive this? The clock is ticking, the vault is unlocking. And the world is about to learn the true cost of a secret. They met before.